So testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2. Good to see you, Ken. Good to see you. Let me see here why my volume turned up here. What's going on? Wow. Got something weird going on here with my displays, so stand by. Okay. Okay, there it goes. Finally switched over. Wow. That never happened to me before. Again, welcome everyone to the Area 111 live stream. This is your host RH, again coming at you from the beautiful Sunshine State of Florida. Yeah, Happy New Year, Ken. Good to see you here. So I'm gonna kind of like hang in here for a little while. I'm gonna basically provide source references to what we're going to talk about tonight. This has a lot to do, kind of like a clue is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, what they're kind of creating, and we'll get into who is creating what, far as in the precious metals market is concerned, and how that's tied to Jekyll and Dr. Jekyll messing around there, fooling around, and he created a Mr. Hyde. I guess you could call the people that they call a buy silver, which they call what? The poor man's gold, poor man's gold, right? So I thought it's kind of interesting. So I see a lot of, what do you call it, word association. I'm very, very good at word association because when you learn foreign languages, a lot of the foreign languages that we learn has words that are exactly the same as in English as they are in the language that you're studying. But yeah, you know, they've created something and they got themselves kind of like up in a corner, and with all this paper, silver, and these futures, and trying to short the price of silver, keeping it around $76. It's like around $76 an ounce now. Of course, you can't buy physical gold for the 76 or $77 an ounce. I think it's 76.7 or something like that, the last I checked. But anyways, I'll just give you an example. So if you want to buy, for example, a 2024 silver American Eagle, a 1 ounce, um, 0.999 pure, okay, you're going to pay $90.97 for that coin. Okay, there's a premium for these coins or collectibles. I don't think it's too bad. $14. For the mint and all that stuff, what they have to do to create the coins. But I don't think the $14.49 is a very. I think it's a reasonable premium if you collect like coins, like silver coins. It's a really cool coin. That's what I traded out the General Custard a gold friendship and peace gold coin. I could pop it back up there again and take it off in case you didn't see that. I had that on previous live streams. But anyways, we're going to get into this a little bit deeper tonight and going back to history. And we've been hearing from top level, like let's just say President Trump and others. They're talking about going into the golden age, right? Going into the golden age. It's going to be the golden age. We're going to restore the golden age of America. So I'm going to give you all the reference, the actual reference that goes all the way back to the Revolutionary War. And we'll talk about what Dr. Jekyll created. You know, he basically created a wild man, you know, that he gave himself these injections, right, and created himself he turned it into a wild man, his alter ego. He had two egos, one very violent ego. And this is what I think if they see they're playing all this stuff behind the doors and smoke filled rooms, right? We used to call it, that's just a saying. They probably don't smoke, but you know, it's just an old saying, right? When they get behind those closed doors, believe me, they're not gonna include the poor man, the man that's not in that Jekyll Island club, for example. They're gonna leave those people out to dry, right? Which includes, you know, even you could even say the middle class. They've nearly destroyed the middle class in America. You can even say not just the poor man and woman, but the middle class too. They basically destroyed a lot of businesses with that. I chew, blow my nose, and I feel good again, right? What did they destroy them with? Okay, I let off over on Rumble a place card holder video. I don't know if y'all caught that or not, but anyways, it's over there on YouTube. I mean Rumble. So the last time I checked, let's go back to the subscribers on the Area 111 channel, Area Space 111 channel on YouTube. I only need like 4 more subs to be monetized, and I'm actually looking at trying to become an affiliate for precious metals. You know, so I can basically become monetized if I choose to do that. You know, I like not being monetized and just putting out information, so y'all don't have to hear me read off the ads. You know, far as precious metal ads, whatever. But I think this is going to be a very, very good opportunity for people that have missed the boat, per se, as we say, when it comes to gold. Me personally, I still believe that that gold is the foundation of gold is around 2000. So if you got into buying a position in gold, now I'm not an economic advisor. I hate to have to say that, but you know, a lot of this is just common sense. You know, common sense for supply versus demand. And if people think they're going to have an opportunity to invest in silver, you know, and make good money out of it, and you know, like I talked about in the last few live streams, uh, uh, modifying your precious metal portfolio to 65% in gold and 35% in silver. Now, say for example, if you take 35% of your profits or your whatever you're at above 2000 and you actually sell it, you know, if you're at you bought in at 2000 and you're around 4000, even if you want to say okay 3000, you know, it's still over 4,000 an ounce from last I checked, anyways, you know. But anyways, you're still going to make a decent profit. And when you downsize your gold portfolio and take that money and invest in silver and get your portfolio up to 35% silver and um, uh, 65% gold. Now, if you take a look at it, now the reason why I'm talking about that portfolio in metals is because I heard it from these guys that have vaults in Switzerland, and they've been in the business like 50 years. Okay. These people know what they're talking about. So they know it themselves. So there's a clue right there. I mean, they got huge vaults, right? They don't need to sell. They're in a position. They're not like, creating paper money out there. These are the real people that have all these. I mean, they deal in like 1,000 ounce bars, mostly for industrial purposes. And they got these huge vaults with like 1,000 ounce bars. If somebody can, I think that's around 30 pounds, 30 pounds. So if somebody can do the math for me, 1,000 ounces of fine silver, which is 999, in some cases 9999, four nines. Um, yeah, I think it's around 30 something dollar, 30 pounds, 30 US pounds. So they have all these pallets and all these bars, 1,000 ounce bars, just stacked up in a vault, a high secure vault, right? And just thousand. Uh, so I just want to talk a little bit about um, my life when I was in the Air Force. I was stationed overseas, and where I was stationed at the special duty assignment, 45 minutes I could be in Switzerland. And basically, anyone that wanted to do any type of stock trading or opening up a certain, what do you call those? I forgot, those mutual funds or whatever you call it. You know, you basically would go to Switzerland to do those type of trading. And if you go into Zurich and you look at the city of Zurich, you got one shop after the other. They're like jewelry shops. And you can see all these amazing artistic jewelry, which includes stuff like Rolexes I've never seen before in my life. I mean, with gemstones, and all kinds of stuff. It's really interesting to go check out Zurich if you ever get a chance. Hey, Alan, good to see you here. Yeah, I missed that. Apologize. I have to continue to refresh my, I noticed that chat just popped up. So before I keep going on about this rambling on, I'm going to get back to Switzerland in a minute. But again, I only need 4 more subs for YouTube so I can be monetized. And if I want to be affiliate, I can basically provide y'all information, a little bit more detailed information from the actual exchange itself, so y'all can get better information. And this is coming from like a normal kind of like a blue collar type worker type, so it's nothing's going to go over your head when I'm talking about this stuff, because I'm going to break it down to a level that I can understand it better, right? When it comes to trading in precious metals. So I know y'all probably just tired of hearing this because of the gold and the history of the gold when it basically skyrocketed up to 4,000, like $400 an ounce. I think that's the highest it's gone so far, if I'm not mistaken. Is hovering around 4,000, I think, maybe 4,200 now. but that's crazy. So we did the math the other night. I did the math the other night. Say if you change up your portfolio, you modify your portfolio where you have 65% gold and um, 35% silver. So think of the price actually from where it is now when you divert 35% of it into silver. Let's just use it in that type of situation. So if you're taking that out and the other people that start to basically catch on, some people might want to go up to $40 and I mean 40% in their metals portfolio in silver and 60% in gold. But if that changes the price per ounce of silver based on the price it is now, around 4,000, right? You're looking at $1,540 for an ounce of silver. Now, some people might say that's faulty logic, you know what I mean? But again, let's go back to Switzerland and remember all of Europe, pretty much all of Europe, those movers and shakers out there and this stuff in the market, or the stock market or whatever, they work out of Switzerland. You can believe me, you don't have to believe me. Okay? That's where they get their what do you call it? Trade advice. So picking up things and those people love going long. They love going long. You know, they're just sitting there smoking their big fat cigars, you know, not in their vault, of course. That's you know, that's a no-no. But anyways, in their smoke-filled rooms, laughing up and watching all of us scrounge for, you know, a few ounces here or there. You know what I mean? So, anyways, they're driving around. They drive in to Europe in their huge like 600 SL Mercedes and you know 850 BMWs and all that stuff. And you know they coming in and they do business in Europe and you know sometimes they drive right into Germany. Like I was there when I was there. Like I said, let's see, when was that in the? I'll just say the '90s, mid '90s, and uh, but my last duty station. So it was in Europe. Okay, that was a special duty assignment. Again, like I said, in 45 minutes I could drive to Switzerland. And you know, when you're doing stuff like that, you know, and you're in the military, you know, you have to follow the laws. So everything that you do, that a lot of people, I'm not talking about like like E1 or something, you know, enlisted person at the first rank. You know, these are people that are basically they've they have family members that recommend them to do things, and you know, and they know where to go work out and get a broker and that kind of thing. When having a full broker, if you didn't have time to like trade your own stocks, whatever, you just go down there and you get a broker, and all you had to do was just pick up a phone and make a phone call and place your orders. So that's how easy it was back then. You know, it was like freedom. It's like liberty for us in the you know, in the market. Working that way, you know, you could do whichever way you wanted to, but you know, it's a whole lot easier and even secure to actually get your broker on the phone, and you know they can help you out too. They can even I won't go into any further than that. But anyways, like I said, if you ever get a chance to go to Zurich, Switzerland, check it out. Just check it out. One shop after the other, and we're talking about not these like nickel and dime stuff, that they sell at some of these, like, you know, I hate to say pawn shops, but there's some jewelry stores out in America that if you compare them with other jewelry stores, say, for example, in Switzerland and other cities, they're kind of like almost like a pawn store. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying anything bad or whatever towards anybody in particular. Hey, I love the free market, and you know, uh, I like the freedom and liberty to basically be able to be in charge of your own finance. So, anyways, and remember, even though you have a full service broker, you're the boss. And if you have an occasion where your broker's going to go, well, I can't unlock you out of that mutual fund or whatever they got you in, right? Uh, and it basically causes you to lose a lot of money. I would, if they refuse to make the transaction, I would fire that person immediately and transfer all your shares to another account or whatever, and find yourself another one. Okay, so now I'm not talking about if they actually provide you sound advice and warn you about something, you know, because they have more insider type information, or you know when they get stock alerts, right? They get stock alerts and all that stuff like almost real time. Something happens to a company, or there's an earnings report that comes out or whatever like that. Okay, they get that immediately. They review it immediately, and sometimes they go, okay, well, there's going to be a board meeting, right? Yeah, I said hi back, Alan. Yeah, it just popped up on my screen. I said hi a while back. But anyways, yeah, people's talking about the golden age of Americans silver, and I'm going to get this. Hopefully, did I finish the thought? Yeah, I think I finished up the thought. So I talked about 2024 silver American Eagle. Now this is important. Now other years might not be uh, uh, fine silver like 0.999 pure. Okay, so you have to be careful with that. Just because you're buying say for example, a silver American Eagle doesn't mean it has 0.999 fine 1 ounce, gold in the coin. Okay, remember you got to pay a premium. So when I checked I just checked it today, and the place I go to, the premium is $14.49, and it goes up to $90.97 with the premium of that order for just 1 ounce. So normally people will buy multiple ounces, and you get the premium will go down a little bit, but it's not going to go down that much. Okay, so now we're talking about Jekyll Island. Far as the Jekyll Island Club, the meeting at Jekyll Island, I'd like y'all to kind of like try to kind of focus on that a little bit. Okay, and who's holding back the reins of the price of silver right now? Now, a partner of JP Morgan was involved in the meeting at Jekyll Island, and they've been controlling pretty much everything for 4 years. Now, when we hear the golden age of American silver, or the golden age, right? We're going into the golden age, and President Trump talked about certain things, beneath his feet. Now he wasn't talking about oil, in my opinion. He wasn't talking about oil, but I do believe the comms, the first lady just came out. I think it was New Year's Eve celebration. She came out with a silver dress, beautiful dress, by the way. I mean, she's got great taste, great taste. A beautiful woman, beautiful inside and out, beautiful first lady. And I'm sure President Trump is very proud of her and all she's done for our country since she's been the first lady. So, anyways, so it appears that things are going to it's going to get kind of desperate because they can't come up with like over 1 billion ounces of silver, and they're locked into these prices with the paper silver. And when people want to basically, you got to have so much silver to back the paper silver, or basically it's worthless. You have to have the vaults full, and they're not full because there's not enough silver being mined around the entire world, let alone in the United States, to meet the demand, the industrial demand, the national defense demand, far as the solar panels demand, the EV battery demand, you name it. And another thing, a lot of people don't realize that silver is the best reflective type precious metal there is. So what applications are you talking about as far as reflection? Well, what about those big old huge satellites? What about those big old huge telescopes? What about those what do you call it? Those astrologers out there, those amateur or even professional astrologers, and they need the lenses and all that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Reflective lenses and all kinds of stuff like that. But anyways, I might be getting a little bit over my head when it comes to, astronomy and, the telescopes, because I've never owned a telescope myself, but it'd be nice to have one of these years. But anyways, so they have all this paper silver, and there's no way they can actually come up with the actual physical silver, right? As far as my understanding, to meet whenever they want to cash in, right? And to meet the industrial demands and computers, you name it, they use silver. There's many more uses for silver than there is for gold, believe it or not. And they've basically, from my understanding, for the rich man, for people thinking, about mega rich people, they make these special deals, and they make these government contracts with these, let's just say, military contractors and that kind of thing, and they're going to try to keep the price low when they're purchasing stuff. But I don't think they're going to be able to hold it back now. I really don't, because there's too many people out there. They're actually they're running out of silver in a lot of these exchanges. You go and check these exchanges. And a word of advice: if you're buying silver, you go into exchange, say for example online, a precious metals like place where you can trade in, buy precious metals. Make sure that whatever silver you're buying, if you're buying for a position for your portfolio, make sure they have it in stock. It's very important. So you'd have to call and call the salesperson if it's a reputable firm. Make sure it's an American. If you're American, hey, we're Americans. We like to deal with our own Americans, because in other countries there's a different set of rules they play by. I mean, we have the protection, right? What is it, the Monetary Exchange Commission? I think that's the one that oversees how much silver that JP Morgan has to have on hand. And they're going to have to basically have a bailout, or they call it repo. I don't know. But they're going to be short like over $100 billion, from my understanding. Now, I could be incorrect. $100 billion, because remember, there is like a billion ounces of silver shortfall, far as these what do you call these bids? They're futures, like you have a shorting the price of silver, so they can't keep going in and shorting the price of silver and playing around. Yeah, they can play around all they want to, but they're going to run out. They're not going to have enough silver, so that either way, because of all the paper silver that's out there. Now, even the mines can't produce the amount of silver that's for demand. And the the elephant in the China shop, the elephant is in the China shop when it comes to silver, the demand for silver, AI. AI. It's really crazy. Now, I'm probably going to do another show about AI. So if y'all haven't done so, again, please click subscribe to the YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, area space 111. So if you're watching the live stream on YouTube, just click on the channel, right? Go to the channel and just hit subscribe. Doesn't cost you a penny. Remember, I don't charge for subscriptions for this channel. I've been doing this over 2 years, probably going on 3, maybe even 4. And they deplatformed me a couple of times off of YouTube, basically because I'm going out there and putting out the information I had researched, and a lot of it was professional information. Man, they I won't go any further with that. It's ridiculous. So just trying to put out information I knew was factual. I'll use an example. The U.S. Senate conducted an investigation far as the darts are concerned. They did their own investigation. In the United States Senate did the investigation. They had doctors, you name it, immunologists, and chemists, whatever you need to have to basically run an investigation on the darts. And they come to the conclusion that the darts that they were providing at the time did not keep you from getting it or keep you from spreading it. So what did the U.S. Congress do? Now, this is a factual statement. If they take me down for this, I'm going to go be talking to somebody up high, as far as Attorney General wise. And I'll just leave it at that. Because there's no way I'll put out information that's wrong when it comes to something like that, as far as our health care. Okay, so that they concluded in their investigation, the United States Senate concluded an investigation due to testimony and discovery of the darts at that time. They concluded it didn't help you from keep you from getting it or from spreading it. So what did they do? In the National Defense Authorization Act, they defunded the darts I'm talking about. They defunded it. Over 90% of men and women in our armed forces, over 90, I think it was around 95%, 97% of all men and women in uniform took those darts because they were compulsory. Compulsory. They were mandates that you had to get them. And we've done this before. I've been involved in this, directly involved in this as the unit deployment manager. I don't need to say, go into any further. Now, I'm not a spokesperson for the military. This is my own personal interest in this to make sure that everybody's safe. I'm just going to go back into, they should have provided informed consent. That's all they should have had. That's all they had to do. Provide informed consent. Tell you what's in the darts, what the possible side effect, let's just say effects are, and allow the individual to the constitutional right to decide whether they're going to take it or not. So a lot of people that are familiar with this live stream and been here from the very beginning, they know I'm very passionate about what I talk about. I'm tired of screaming from the rooftops and nobody listening, because God only knows how many people succumbed to you know what. That's all I got to say with that. And those people that push that lie, they should be held accountable. And stop protecting these people, especially ones that knew all along what they were doing, and while they laughed all the way to the bank, enriching themselves at the expense of the lives of God knows how many around the entire world, not only in the United States. We're talking about children, infants, I guess you could say. Very, very young children. I'll just say it that in that way. We don't want another fact checking instance, right? So I want to put out something real quick, and I know it doesn't pertain to the title of the live stream. I'm going to get back to that. Talk about some really cool history. Think about it. The golden age. What is this year? What is the year 2026? Does it ring a bell? What anniversary is this of 2026? Does it ring a bell? $250th year anniversary of our country. 250th year anniversary of our country. You think about it, and thank God. Thank God that our country is still here. And we need to continue to pray to God to put a hedge of protection around all of us, all of our citizens, and our country as well. And that we can stop these wars all around the world. So this is the golden age of American silver. Now this goes this is actually the 250th year anniversary. How many people even know who Paul Revere is? Now I know the people that watch this channel, for the most part, they're I'm not gonna say we're all old, but I consider myself old now, right? I consider myself old. So I'm going to try something real quick. I don't want to have to cut this off. My gosh, let's see here. Go back to the live stream. Okay, we're still live. I'm going to go ahead and give myself a like on YouTube. Remember, please hit that subscribe button. Only need 4. 4 more. Golly, it's crazy. That's a major milestone for a lot of live streamers, 500. Could you imagine back in the day when you're going to like school, you're in say you're elementary school or your junior high or even high school. Could you imagine actually having, what do they call that, a black book, a telephone book, whatever, and had 500 entries in your telephone book you can call? It's not like the back in the day, growing up in the 70s, whatever, 60s and 70s, um, yeah, I guess you could say I became of age in the 70s. So 60s and 70s. I was a kid in both. I grew up during the 60s and 70s. And let's see here. I didn't turn 21 until the 80s. So that makes me feel younger. So makes me feel younger. I'm not going to say what part of the 80s I turned 21. I'll just make y'all believe it was 89. 1989, I turned 21. Okay? So, liar, 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 pants on fire, RH. I'm gonna fact check you. I'm gonna report you for disinformation. I'm gonna report you for disinformation, RH. Liar, 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 pants on fire. Okay. Okay, so enough with the theatrics, right? Hey, this is a small channel. Wow. Let me see if I can quit this. Testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2. Okay, we're still alive. Maybe I don't need to have that display up the way I did. I'm going to shut one down and bring another one up. Okay. Now, when we're talking about sterling silver is it's 92.5% pure, right? So sterling silver they use a lot, and some people talk about sterling silver is that like, oh well, it's not hardly any silver at all. Sterling silver is 92.5. Oh, what does that mean? Well, it's 7.25 or 7.5 away from, wait a minute, am I saying that right? Well, fine silver is 0.999 pure. Okay. Now to basically create sterling silver with the alloys or whatever, like copper, you have to have 92.5. So you have to have fine 0.999 to make sterling silver. So now talking about the 250th year anniversary of our country, the American revolutionary Paul Revere was regarded as one of the best silversmiths from this golden age of American silver. Following the Revolutionary War, Revere acquired and made use of a silver rolling mill from England. Not only did the rolling mill increase its production, hammering and flattening silver took most of a silversmith's time. He was able to roll and sell silver of appropriate uniform thickness to other silversmiths. He retired a wealthy artisan. His success partly due to this strategic investment. Although he is celebrated for his beautiful hollowware, hollowware, Revere made his fortune primarily on low-end goods produced by the mill, such as flatware. Flatware's like silver plates, right? Um, with the onset of the first industrial revolution, silversmithing declined as an artistic occupation. Uh, so I won't go into any much more about that. Now, if you want to check out The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, go check out, it's a movie. Go check out that movie. I think it was in 1990 that it came out. I remember watching that. So let's go to. Now, I thought y'all would like to know this information. JP Morgan runs banking operations in 49 of our U.S. states and 198 foreign locations. They have banking operations going on with JP Morgan. So they have an enormous amount of a clout when it comes to pricing of precious metals, right? And the interest rates, like our interest rates, and this is a big deal. I think we're going to be coming. I'm not us citizens, but the citizens that couldn't afford gold, even when it's down like around $1,000 an ounce, and they bought into silver. I hope they don't basically try to what do you call it? Demand we give all that back to the government, because man, there's going to be, oof, I don't know, but they don't care. That's the way they can try to destroy. See, they're saying the way that if you buy silver, um, a physical silver, that's the way to take down the banks. We have to be careful. They might have a plan of their own, and it won't look too bright for us normal citizens holding the bag. So that's what we're actually going to do. We've been doing for all this time. What do you think? Who prints out? Who's the one that prints our currency, which is unconstitutional? They should add an amendment for who prints our currency after the minting. Who's the one that basically values currency? The Congress, right? I know a lot of people know this, but for them, it's just a review. Now, this is Federal Reserve history I'm talking about. The meeting at Jekyll Island, Federal Reserve. And some people are probably saying, well, isn't RH the one that say there's not enough gold or silver in the world to actually back our GDP? Yes, I did make that statement. You have to be very careful about our policies when it comes to gold or silver backed currency. Now, I do believe our currency should be tied to our commodities and our GDP, right? And not to basically tie that with gold or silver. Now, this happened before. Look up Charles de Gaulle and look what they're doing. They're basically, they had all these, and there's some people talking about all these pallets of counterfeit, very, very good counterfeit dollars in the billions of dollars, all these pallets out there waiting. If we go to a gold or silver back dollar, like a U.S. Treasury note, right? What are they going to do? They're going to demand, they don't want the paper, just like people buying physical silver, fine silver, pure silver, right? We don't want the paper. We want it in our hand, the actually physical silver or gold, if you're buying gold. Or what's the other one? I forgot the other one of the precious metals. It doesn't talk about that much. Platinum, right? Platinum, I think it's called, right? Platinum. Okay, the meeting at Jekyll Island, November 20th, 1910 to November 30th, 1910. A secret gathering at the secluded island off the coast of Georgia in 1910 laid the foundations for the Federal Reserve System. That's the debt-based system. Because once these people got involved in printing our money, right? Printing our money, they basically charged us interest on all our own money we printed. And these are foreign federal banks. They're not US federal, has not, these are really directly tied to the federal government, our US government. We can't even do an audit of the Federal Reserve. You know, that's like crazy. Not only did they basically go around the Constitution, these people had so much power, so much clout, so much money to basically control the entire US government. And it appears in many ways controlling our own United States Armed Forces. You know, you think about this. Now, the people that were there, and in 1910, 6 men, Nelson Aldrich, let me see, Pyatt, I think it is, Andrew Henry Davidson, Arthur Shelton, Frank Vanderlip, it says, and Paul Warburg met at Jekyll Island Club, at the Jekyll Island Club. Now, if you go to this Wikipedia, it's got this huge look, it looks like a castle on Jekyll Island. It's like a 1, 2, 3, 4, like a 5-story building. Probably basements too as well in there. Want to know what's going on in those basements, if there's a basement there. You know, it's on the island, so I don't know how the elevation is. But anyways, they met at the Jekyll Island Club off the coast of Georgia to write a plan to reform the nation's banking system. The meeting and its purpose were closely guarded secrets, and participants did not admit that the meeting occurred until the 1930s. But the plan written on Jekyll Island, think about it. They didn't release actually that they even had a meeting or admit they had a meeting until the 1930s, over 20 years later. Like, Oh, we're not going to let you know what's in the darts, right? What was it, 75 years? They're going to keep that secret, right? I mean, come on now. That's why people like us that served our country and are paying attention, why we're trying to scream from the rooftops. That's why you come into RH's channel and sometimes you hear a live scream instead of a live stream. Okay, if that turns you off, I can't help you. What I used to say back then is turn the volume down. If it's that bad or whatever, that loud, turn the volume down. There's nothing wrong with me being passionate and having love for our country and love for our people, that I hate to see what's going on. The violence and, the outright deception. Now, I don't know if y'all know what's going on with that new AI stuff, that every time you do a Google search with something, they've actually, okay, let's just put it this term. I used to work in an antiquated semi-automatic computer system. Semi-automatic is, what does it mean, semi-automatic? The computer is semi-automatic. Where does the computer get the rest of the information or data? From a human being. The human being inputs the data to build the algorithms and all that kind of stuff, right? So I actually did that. I used to have to actually type in a big panel, like a keyboard, to put my entries in the keyboard to set up the computer, where the computer would activate and actually take over in many cases where you couldn't be fixated on a certain piece of data or that one subject, that there was multiple things going on in the background that the computer was handling, but they always had to have an initiation from a human. The same thing with AI. People going, AI, oh, this is so great. It's just a modernized form of a semi-automatic computer. Whether we build the programs or whatever, it's humans that basically build the programs, build the algorithms, and they've already written them for AI. What is AI now? It's just another fancy term for fact checkers, like Snopes, for example. So they knew that there was going to be a time that people will be outraged by the mainstream media reading off Mockingbird media scripts and all of them parroting like a parrot. You have to give the input into the parrot for the parrot to talk, right? They're nothing more than parrots. The parrot can read, in this case, read the scripts, the Mockingbird media scripts. Where do you think they get the scripts from? A very, very highly compartmentalized group of people within the Special Activities Center. What is their job? Their primary job, that group and the Special Activities Center, the primary group of that, their function, their main reason for functioning, to be that semi-automatic human being to feed the inputs into the computer. Influence elections. That's their primary job. You got people sitting there typing in the data. It goes out, right? And there's a payment that goes out with it to basically parrot the scripts. Now it's gone to AI. See, they're going to take out the middleman because they know they're going to be defunded. But they still have that black budget. Working closely with, let's see, Dr. Jekyll, Dr. Jekyll's a fictitious character, right? So I'm not accusing anybody of anybody doing anything wrong. But think about it. Is there anybody here that has thought of what I just said in these terms? Okay, I'm talking to myself, right? I'm talking to myself because they shadow ban this channel. They shadow ban this channel so much because I tell the truth. You know, I heard two people I know very well when talking about politics and the current president of the United States. Oh, he's not for the little man. I heard two people say that. Unbelievable. That I've known for years and years and years. How many little men out there, the little people out there, like they're talking about referencing to lower income people. Lower income people could include those that have a modest retirement, very modest retirement. Those that are collecting Social Security. They thought, okay, well, we're going to get this when we get of age. Like it was, I think 67 was 62 back when I was a young kid. You work till you're 62, you can collect your Social Security. That's when it matured. So, yeah, the little guy or the little people. In a way, I'm trying to help out the little guy, the little gal. Those that don't make enough money, that don't understand the stuff. They work every day. They work as hard as they can. They're tired when they get home from work. They got to put food on the plates for their family members. They got to pay their mortgage bill. They got to pay their electric bill. Sometimes they got to cut back on certain things. Okay, well, we're going to turn up the thermostat to 80 degrees because that last electric bill was $250. You know what I mean? For a lot of those people, that's a car payment. They're paying an electric bill, right? Or you go to the pump and it's like for around $3 a gallon. If you have to use premium, that's like $4, right? A little over $4 a gallon. I don't remember what it was. But remember when I remember when it got down to $1.97 a gallon at Murphy's. It's a place I think is the Walmart gas station right across the street from Walmart. $1.97. I was happy as could be. Now we're seeing all the problems why that money, why it was so expensive. They're hoarding oil, right? We saw what happened in Venezuela. Now, and we also see what's happening with let me go back to the Federal Reserve. I'm going to finish up that thought real quick. Remember, this is what they're doing now. They're trying to guide us in a different direction. And believe me, that's not the direction we need to be on. We're talking about a sovereign economy, a sovereign United States, independent United States of America. They don't want that. So if we're paying interest in every day what we pay billions of dollars in interest, just the interest payment alone, every single day is around $1 billion. I think it's over that. We're at $38 trillion in debt, maybe $39 trillion in debt. Where does that interest payment go? Well, the Federal Reserve banks, right? They're foreign. We're paying off these other countries, basically bailing them out because they don't have the product. And they're trying to force us to buy our product in another country and destroy our manufacturing. And then telling us who can open up a business, who can't. That's communism. That's Barack Hussein Obama. That's a mirror image and projection of Barack Obama, what he did. Outsourcing all our manufacturing, allowing them to dump cheap steel or whatever, all this stuff into our country, you name it. So what are we going to have backing our dollar? People call it the fiat dollar. Well, this is the United States of America. That's our currency, right? We need to protect it. The Congress needs to get, a little bit more active instead of reactive when it comes to our currency. And I don't know what's going on in the background, but I don't like it so far. Where they're saying, well, they're gonna write a bill to limit President Trump's military action in Venezuela, and then I heard Greenland. What? But by the way, who was victorious in 1776? We're not a commonwealth. Greenland is not a commonwealth. I'll just stop right there. People need to do their own research and go back where all this ties to. Dracul. Dracul, huh? Well, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not false witness against anyone, no matter what status they hold. But you think about it. Every day, billions of dollars just in interest alone is leaving our country and going to another country. Okay, JP Morgan alone. Runs banking operations in 49 states and 198 foreign locations. Okay, so the need for reform, back to Jekyll Island. At the time, the men who met at Jekyll Island believed the banking system suffered from serious problems. The Jekyll Island's participants' views on this issue are well known since before and after their conclave, several spoke publicly and others published extensive on the topic. Collectively, they encapsulated their concerns in the plan they wrote on Jekyll Island and in the reports of the National Monetary Commission. Like many Americans, these men were concerned with financial panics. Yeah, you're not lying there. Which had disrupted economic activity in the United States periodically during the 19th century. Nationwide panics occurred on average every 50 years. These panics forced financial institutions to suspend operations, triggering long and deep recessions. American banks held large required reserves of cash, but these reserves were scattered throughout the nation, held in the vaults of thousands of banks or as deposits in financial institutions in designated reserve and central reserve cities. During crises, they became frozen in place, preventing them from being used to alleviate the situation. Okay, so I want to stop here. when I was talking about counterfeit operations, well, what they do is they go to a foreign country and pass off counterfeit money that looks almost identical, right? And they have all these pallets of cash. And what they'll do, they'll go to a like a third rate country, right? Like a third rate country, and where they don't have all these the technology or the know-how of basically seeing what's real or not. So think about all that currency that's going around in all these other countries that are just basically counterfeit. I think they're going to have to basically expand the U.S. Secret Service and the U.S. Treasury, as far as investigators goes, to basically to root out counterfeiting. So, anyways, during booms, banks' excess reserves tended to flow towards big cities, especially New York, where bankers invested them in call loans, which were loans repayable on demand to brokers. The brokers in turn loaned the funds to the investors speculating in equity markets. Those stock purchases served as collateral for the transactions. The American system made bank reserves immobile and equity markets volatile. A receipt for financial instability. Okay, stand by. Okay. Stand by. I'm looking for the individual that was partner with J.P. Morgan. Stand by. I saw it earlier. Now, I didn't finish that thought about the gold back currency and the silver back currency. Now, this is just my opinion, and I didn't make very many friends when I made this opinion. We already see the shortage already with silver. So, what do y'all think all these foreign countries are going to do that has a lot of dollars stacked up right in their vaults? Soon as we go to a gold backed currency, if we do, or even I don't think there's enough silver because of the demand to back a currency with it. That's why I believe the commodities like the oil, doing business in the United States of America, us selling our products made in the USA, that basically should be the backing of our currency. And like I said, we have our GDP is around $30 trillion a year. I haven't checked it in a while. It was like $26 trillion. Now the European Union, basically that's what they did. They basically took away the sovereignty of a lot of countries in Europe, forced them basically where they really didn't have a choice, forced them into the European Union. And basically the European Union was created to be an economic opponent or a competitor with the United States of America. That's the whole reason for the European Union being created and take away the sovereignty of a lot of those small countries in Europe. I like being when I was in Europe. I liked going to different countries because they all had their own unique culture, and I loved going to look at the differences of the culture. But what they did was they merged all the countries into one, and then they flooded their countries with the immigrants, right? I won't go any further there. What do you think happens with the culture and the founding of Europe and the founding of our country? I can talk about this later and far more in depth than I'm doing now. But anyways, uh, so yeah, with the oil we have and the reserves we have, and when we're working to get the back our platforms we had in Venezuela, I do believe that will be back in enough. But again, all these countries that have all these dollars stored. Think about the central banks in Europe that are tied directly to the European Union. All the dollars. As soon as we transfer over to gold back currency, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to basically deplete all of our gold, if we even have any to begin with, if it wasn't stolen. Because you got people that are weak people in our government, previous years, they allowed it. I don't even think we have the gold we have in Fort Knox. Yeah, we can believe in fiction, and we can believe in a movie. A movie. It's all part of the movie. Just watching the show and all that stuff. Yeah, uh, is that the way you run your life when it comes to your own personal life? Uh, what do you call that? Not liability. Your own personal livelihood. Is that the way? Is that the way we plan our livelihoods based off of a movie, based off of fiction, or based off of whatever they plan on, whatever they trying to make us believe that they parrot in the mainstream media and pretty much everywhere else? They pay the people to parrot these things. And who they pay, where are they getting the money to pay them to parrot this stuff, to develop the AI, which is just a huge fact checking platform, which is going to take up enormous amounts of silver. Now, some of that stuff would be DARPA like stuff, what I mean, where you got these supercomputers where, you know, they go in and help develop or new technology and that kind of thing, and bring in new technology to the economy, to our country for our use. Yeah, a lot of that has good. It's good in it, but you know, there's always a weapon aspect of that technology too that can get us in a lot of, well, let's say, could get us in a lot of deep kimchi. So we have to be more active. Our government has to be more active instead of reactive. Now, blocking Trump from one of his primary commander-in-chief responsibilities, they're blocking. There was like 5 Democrats that helped the Republicans block Trump's use of the military regarding Venezuela. So for 4 years, the same people pretty much, what did they do for 4 years? From January 20th of 2021 to January 20th of 2025. What did they do for 5 years or 4 years? They allowed an invasion to occur into our country. They allowed an invasion. They allowed all those boats to come over, right? The border was wide open. Hundreds of thousands of people died from fentanyl alone. Now they're going to block the President of the United States of his primary constitutional duty to protect our country from the fentanyl threat or those dangerous drug threats. And what happened? What happened? Okay, we're getting all these signals and we're starting to see the truth, bits and pieces of these truths coming out, and we're putting the puzzle together. We're starting to see a big picture. Remember, Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution states, the United States shall guarantee to each state in this union a Republican form of government and will ensure against invasion and against domestic violence. Did they basically ensure the United States government, I'm talking about the United States, did they ensure against invasion for the 4 years that Biden was in control for their third term? No, they didn't. So what was released from Maduro? I think the vice president over there released it. Maduro's out there in an interview, and he basically said there was billions and billions of dollars were basically transferred legally into American banks. Oh my God, what are you talking about, RH? American banks. Billions and billions and billions of dollars. What do those dollars do? Select people, right? Billions of dollars going into these banks legally to go into certain type of programs like foreign type aid, foreign type donations. People, they're caught. They're caught. They're caught. See, the algorithms, they don't even need to run the algorithms on they've shadow banned this channel to block these messages from going out. They want to stay hidden. Okay. This is now I support, I got good friends over there in Europe. I mean, they're really great people. They're not in a position to be have any say in their own government. It's a little bit different over there than it is over here. But it looks like I'm seeing a lot of things that I don't like, and it's like transitioning to communism where they're going to say, and even go out there and tackle livelihoods. That's what happened in 2020. That's what happened in 2020 and in 2021, right? Remember the mandates? Remember how many people could go in a restaurant? Taking away like over a quarter or 25% from patronage. Shut down churches, didn't they? Shut down churches. So if there's anybody out there wanting to speak the truth and not false witness or lie about things and cover things up, right? They didn't have to worry about it. So they shut the churches down. Doesn't that call for discernment or concern? Shouldn't we be concerned about that ever happening again? Well, guess what? If they buy the next government, they're going to be impeaching President Trump, right? And it's going to go to the Senate. One of their false lawfare, malicious prosecution arrests they make on Trump, they might stick. They'll impeach him on a false crime, right? What did Norm Eisen say? Former White House counsel, guess to who? To who? Wasn't very friendly to President Trump and Trump's administration. What did Norm Eisen say? They were confident, basically, I'm paraphrasing, that they're going to be able to eject President Trump out of office. They're confident because they have all that foreign support too. Where did Barry just travel to? Where did John Brennan just travel to after President Trump got in office the first time? Where was he working out of? Remember they said supposedly they removed the security clearance. Oh, no. There was administrative errors made by the Trump administration that they didn't take Brennan's security clearance from him. So where was he going? Where they go to outsource the PSYOPs operation and the surveillance. Brennan went to London, didn't he? Brennan was staying in London. See, now we have the opportunity, even with $80 an ounce or whatever, to get into silver if you missed the boat with gold because you didn't have enough money to invest in, like even when it was $2,000 an ounce. To me, still that's like I think $2,000 an ounce should be the foundation of what it's at for far as now goes. If there's ever a correction, I hate to say this, but if you basically modify your portfolio from basically 100% gold to 60% or 65% gold, and use that windfall as far as the current price that you get joined in at 2,000. Buy you some silver. This might be the first chance the little guy, the little woman, the little people can basically I wouldn't say get rich, but think about it. If you just invest enough of your gold or I mean your whatever you have left over. Say you're going to go in and you're going to pay. Say you got a mortgage with a good APR, say around 4% or something like that. Instead of paying extra premiums on the, for example, the principal of your loan, to drop the interest rate, since you already got a good interest rate to begin with, invest in silver. And when it goes up to probably around $400 an ounce, which I think it will, do I think it's going to go up to $1,540 an ounce based on 65% gold and 35% from that gold going into silver at the price now? As far as making at the price, that if everybody did had the same logic and up in their position in silver, you could actually have a windfall where you can actually get out of silver when you're thinking, okay, you got enough, a little bit extra, right? Pay off your mortgage, pay off all your credit cards, right? Now, I'm not a economist or whatever. I'm not providing y'all any type of it's just my opinions, right? These are just my opinions. And as far as I know, we're still allowed to give opinions. Since when can we not give an opinion? Since the communists took over our country. That's basically when. Remember, they decide which little small mom and pop store can open up. They decide who has the land. Remember, you can't own private property. What are these people out there saying? What was it? Klaus Schwab? We say, you're not going to own anything and you're going to like it? That's communism. That's antithetical to our U.S. Constitution, by the way. So, anyways, oh, and they're going to block President Trump's military getting involved in basically taking over Greenland and making Greenland part of the United States of America. Excuse me? Do people realize how much money we spent in Greenland for those, let's see, Thule, Greenland, for example? Look up the base, the military base in Thule, Greenland. Let's look at the history of Thule, Greenland. And far as Panama Canal, I can only imagine what Theodore Roosevelt is thinking about up there in heaven right now. What in the world, right? All the people and our blood, sweat, and tears and lives that were given to build that canal, right? Now, I called it Thule, Greenland back in the day. I had a chance to be stationed there. Pituffik Space Base, formerly Thule Air Base, is the United States Space Force base located on the northwest coast of Greenland in the Kingdom of Denmark under a defense agreement between Denmark and the United States. Kingdom of Denmark. Kingdom of Denmark. Under what crown? King Charles, maybe? Let me see here. Test 1, 2, test 1, 2. Okay. Still no viewers on YouTube. Only one. Let me go. Wait a minute. Let me finish up this thought and I'll go back to YouTube and see what's going on. They might have preempted this channel. Kingdom of Denmark. Kingdom of Denmark king. King of the Kingdom Stand by. King Frederick the X the 10th. Okay. Ascended to the throne on January 14th of 2024. Now, I do. I love the Danish people there. I was deployed there a few times. And religion and identity. So they are basically got to be careful about being exploited by that big Asian country and that Eastern Europe country. So there's securities that we can basically help provide. And remember, in Denmark, 72% of the population are registered members of the Evangelical Lutheran Church. But less than a fifth of Danes see themselves as very religious. Right. Well, they're Christians, right? They're they're they don't consider themselves like a what do you call that? I don't know. I shouldn't say it. I'm not going to say it. So it's not necessary for me to say something like that to begin with. So, anyways, I think I pretty much covered everything. Now I'm going to go back to now. It still shows we're right on time here on Rumble. So only one person watching on Rumble too. That's the reason why I know they're basically they're they are really attacking this channel. Hey Tracy, when did you come in? I'm sorry, I just saw you. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I didn't see when you came in. So hopefully y'all check out the live stream from the beginning. And if you haven't done so already, please go in and I'm gonna have to do something real quick. Okay, I'd like to finish up tonight's live stream on YouTube. So there's only one person, and I'm pretty sure that's me. That's crazy, man. They're really hitting this channel now hard. Really hitting this channel hard. That's ridiculous. Still stuck at 496 subscribers. So over there, on both YouTube and Rumble, I have more videos over on Rumble. I have 99,000 views. 99,000 views. A lot of you can go back in the history. There's one live stream I did a few months ago, maybe the most was 1,700 views, and thousands of views on Rumble live streams. Thousands of views, of single live streams. I'm not talking about in 3 years. So altogether, 99,000 views, a little over 99,000 views of my live streams. And there's going to be a little bit more views over on Rumble because they deplatformed me off of YouTube multiple times. So, anyways, let me give y'all the. Now, also like to talk about real quick the. Remember, I shared a live stream a little while ago. It was just 5 days ago. Undetected justice under seal. Ghost riders in the sky. Okay. Now remember word association. What just ended up showing up in the UK? AC-130J gunships. What are the what is their basically the nomenclature? Well, I guess not the nomenclature of the What do they call the AC-130J? They call him Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider. Or you remember 5 days ago, undetected justice under seal, Ghost Riders in the sky? Wow, really? And I'd like to take the time out to basically recognize a good friend of mine that just passed away, Kevin Fitters, really good friend, stationed overseas, really great guy. I tell you what, that crowd of people that I was basically blessed to be around, they're top notch, top notch people. They're working with us a lot of times. Remember all this stuff going along, a lot of it that is possibly negative towards our country and their country. They're victims of circumstance. Maybe not so much as horrific victims of circumstance as far as a lot of citizens in third world countries are concerned. But yeah, in a way, with what the government's doing, they have no choice. What about AFD, Alternative for Germany or Deutschland? Alternative, alternative, alternative for Deutschland, for Germany. You know, basically that entire leadership of Alternative for Deutschland has been murdered. I mean, you can't have that many people dying without there being something up. The same type of people and the same organization. They just took them out. You know, that was more like a sovereignty type party, right? To restore the sovereignty of their country. Some people don't want that, right? So, yeah, undetected justice under seal, Ghost Riders in the sky. Those are normally AC-130Js work hand in hand with special forces, right? So along with those AC-130Js that landed in UK was dozens of C-17s, dozens. So yeah, that's, when you start to see movement like that, kind of, it gets to be kind of concerning. So I just saw the second person just show up on YouTube. Man, they're really throttling the channel back tonight. And missed you when you came in, Tracy. I was over there looking at my source reference page. So I put out a lot of good information tonight. Now, remember what's all going on. Remember the Bella 1 oil tanker. Look how high that ship is riding. Look how high that ship is riding. Okay. And they got reinforcements coming. They just changed the name and they changed the flag of that vessel, right? So there's speculation. Okay, well, they have something else in that ship. And from my understanding, over there in Venezuela, there was a ship that was boarded, and they had electronic jamming type equipment on that ship. So people are playing around, and they're getting kind of stupid because why? All this money floating around that's laundering through, even they say Now, Maduro said, okay, that he sent billions of dollars through the American banks legally. Okay, remember, these countries, they play by a different set of rules than we do. They play by a different set of rules than we do. Yeah, and I'm not ignorant to the fact that they have a lot of silver over there. So that's the reason why Congress, in my opinion, they had to shut it down. Why did they have to shut it down, RH? Well, a lot of those people in our Congress were being selected by what kind of money? You can say, why do you have to launder money? Because it's dirty, right? So you got five members of our Congress. Now, let us look at this in a proper perspective. Let's break this down a little bit. You got senators taking bars of gold. Remember, that was Egypt, remember? And how many more? There's electronic transfers going on from actually banks participating. Maduro himself in an interview, now that could have been CGI or whatever, right? They can make up videos like that. Well, supposedly the vice president that wasn't elected by their people, remember, Maduro wasn't elected, he was selected as well. He was bought. What was Maduro's background? From my understanding, he was a bus driver. What was Zelensky's background? From my understanding, he was an actor. He's a television actor playing the part of president of Ukraine. You can't make this up. That's why sometimes you might consider this channel being a live scream instead of a live stream, because it's right there in our face. These people are going to do whatever they want to do because they haven't been held accountable for nothing, really. Yeah, there have been people accountable, right? They're going to go after these people that are the foot soldiers, right? They're going to go after the foot soldiers because the people that are running those foot soldiers are our own people and working with foreign subverted government officials or law enforcement or military officials in other countries. So I hate to say this. So went up to 3 and back down to 1. Wow. So it's 10:34. It's getting kind of late. At least for me, it is getting kind of late. Now let's see what else I can do. What else? Remember word association, Ghost Riders. Okay. AC 130Js. Gunships. And for all my friends out there in other countries, listen. We all got to stick together. And remember, MAGA isn't as divided as they're claiming us to be. That's all part of the psychological warfare operation, the same old BS AI. That's basically their new fact checking little their, what do you call that? Their new go-to fact checking, right? Because what happened? Trump just defunded these propaganda outlets. They're basically just reading the scripts from the Special Activity Center, and there's very, very compartmentalized groups. Remember, there's groups within that organization that don't know what the other groups are doing because they don't need to know. Remember the data input position I served? You can be typing in the data you're gonna before it used to be telegraphing, right? Or Morse code or whatever type or encrypted communication. They're gonna type it in and they're gonna send it out to their subverted operatives in the agencies, plural, and the community, plural. And if they can't do it legally on our soil, they'll outsource it. They'll outsource it. Remember Snowden? Remember why Snowden basically he was almost put in prison, but he basically escaped to Russia, where they're not going to extradite him, right? Edward Snowden, remember him? What did Edward Snowden reveal? Hey, it wasn't me. I wasn't read in the program. I didn't work for the NSA or whatever, or the CIA or any of the intelligence. Uh, yeah, he should get in trouble, but they let him escape to Russia. Echelon, remember? They're conducting surveillance on every single one of us. Hit that ring in the ear, you're a victim. Oh, that's just tendonitis, RH. We've had that forever. Yeah, if you worked on maybe a 40 millimeter uh, uh, automatic turret or whatever, you worked maybe you worked in maybe you worked on a battleship and you were right next to the cannons firing off. Yeah, you're going to probably have some tendonitis when you get older. You're going to have hearing loss. I guarantee it. I used to have to train because I was the unit. I was in charge of the armory. So I had to go all these field training deployments and be qualified on every weapon we had in the armory. Sometimes weapons we didn't even have in the armory. I had to be trained on. And let me tell you, those little Mickey Mouse earpieces they had us wear, even putting in those little, that like almost like styrofoam type, cushy type earplugs, even after putting them in my ears and wearing the Mickey Mouse headset, I still had ring in my ears a lot of times. So, um, let me see here. Let's see here. Yeah. And a lot of that is like weapons, or we call it weapons, like involved like in the Havana syndrome. And go through and read the propaganda with that too, as well. Now, there's a place card holder video over on Rumble talking about the investigation into what they call, oh, those are just normal contrails. That's normal condensation coming off the engine. What do you call it? Jet engines, and it's yeah, yeah. Normal contrails, they just float down. It takes like the whole day to float down to the ground, and they don't dissipate, right? Oh, they don't. Oh, they form ice crystals in the sky, and they stay up there. They hovering up in the sky for hours and hours. That's just normal contrails. Well, guess what? Sherlock, that put out that stupid statement, the Mockingbird media, right? They read the script. They read the script. And you got montages. We can put montages together of all these scripts saying the exact same thing. Remember, they don't care if they're testing. They're doing research. They're going to do the research on the American people. They're going to use us as guinea pigs, right? When they're testing new applications. And see, there's going to be money, and they're going to provide money. Well, not in our state, right? Really? Right after they said that, let me see if I can bring one of them up real quick. right after I heard that statement, look at the sky. It wasn't, it was actually, this was before that, but before that statement was made. But I have pictures of the after. I have more than one picture of that. Look at that avatar. Testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2. Yeah, I guess we're still live, right? Yeah, look at that. Look at those chemtrails up there. They don't care. They only care about laughing all the way to the bank. They could give a rat's ass about us. In God we trust, remember? Everyone else, trust but verify. Everyone. Yeah. Now, I try to get people up on the live stream. So hopefully I can get some guests coming up on the live stream and see what happens. But I made a couple offers and people I understand when okay, you don't want to be on the live stream, right? Okay, that's fine. I guarantee there's things information I put out there on my live streams that I've never that nobody else has talked about. Maybe some person in the country, one person, maybe a person like that did the same job I did when I was in the Air Force, or jobs I did in my life. Maybe they could have figured out some of this stuff, but you know, let's go. Let me go. Let's see here. Go back to. I don't want to make this long. This long, so I guess I'm probably gonna break this up. So let me get back to change out the avatar again. I don't want to split it up and go into chemtrail stuff, but believe me, I've shared a lot of documentaries about it over there in California, where they actually did soil samples and water samples of what was basically being, which came down into the ground, and we know that a lot of it's aluminum. A lot of it's aluminum. I go back to angel hair. Go back and research military application angel hair for yourself, and look how long it takes for angel hair to get down to the ground. That stuff was showing up on the shores of Gulf of Mexico. It was showing up on the east coast of the Atlantic seaboard, showing up on the coastlines there, the Pacific coastline showing up over there. Believe me, that was just chaff training alone. Okay, so go back again. So I would like people to check out Special Activities Center. You can basically Google search it. Okay, that's at the George Herbert Walker Bush building. Okay, uh, the CIA building. Okay, go check that out. Okay, their mission statement, and go down and pay very close attention to their mission statement, as far as what their mission is for the political action group. And when you're reading that material, when you go to Wikipedia, Lincoln, look at the source references, okay, and think about subverted officials. They subvert people with money, threats, pretty much everything you can think of, right? Money and threats to subvert people, to shut them up, or to get them to say whatever they want to say. And most of this is so ridiculous. Now, remember again, Congress just tried to block Trump, and there was, of course, Democrats involved in it and Republicans. I think there was 5 Republicans they needed to basically pass that whatever legislation that prevented Trump from any more, I think, military action in Venezuela, right? And if that's true, and that's true about what Maduro said in that interview, that he money laundered or basically sent billions and billions and billions of dollars through the U.S. banks legally, then we got a problem here. We got a big problem here. These people are going to destroy our country, you know, and even worse, if we don't start to hold these people accountable. I mean, like real fast, and we have to pray for divine intervention that God steps in and stops these evil people from trying to kill us all or whatever, or getting the world population down to 500 million, right? I think that's what it is. A manageable 500 million, right? Their new commandments, right? Now you think about these people. You think people like that, the eugenics type people that believe in reducing the world's population using things like the darts and that kind of thing, uh, using using creating viruses to be used as like darts, creating the viruses to immunize us against what? The VMAT2 gene or the God gene, right? Remember, we're getting all these bits and pieces of information, and they're all starting to fit, right? And we know prophecy. We got to know what team to be on. There's only 2 teams. One's good and one's really, really evil. And really, really evil people, we know what their destiny is as far as what's prophesied. Don't want to be in that group of people. You don't want to be in those organizations where they mark up a bill to break 10 of them. So, yeah, what is RH talking about? Well, calls for discernment. Sometimes you have to pray for discernment before you get it. So, let's see. Stumbling around? No. Stumbling around and lost? No. That's they like chaos, right? They like chaos. Okay, so I think, let me see, I'm going to think a while. And thank you, everyone that's actually comes in the live stream. Maybe after the live stream is over, come in, whatever. Now, let me go back to Says only one watching now. Let me go back to the still only 496 subscribers. They don't want me to be monetized. They don't, right? It's obvious. 4 subscribers, all I need after like 2 or 3 years. Okay. So let's see. Let's go back to the golden age of silver again and talk about that real quick. Come on now. Wow, this is horrible. Let me do a test real quick here on Rumble. See what it sounds like. Testing 1 2 Rumble. Let me do a test real quick here on Rumble. Okay, I got that beautiful echo, so it is working. But they throttle back on this channel really, really hard. Now that AI, there better be some oversight because what I've seen so far, they're getting ready for the midterms. They're going to put everything they got. They got trillions of dollars at stake. We're not just talking about trillions of dollars, but if you think about all those countries that are economic opponents of ours, trillions of dollars rest with them too, as well. Europe, basically all of Europe, the European Union, all of them, right? We're talking trillions of dollars. Do you think they like Trump? They can't stand him. You know, they got a far left problem over there in those countries like we do here in our own country and around the world. You know what happened? What just happened in California? They, I think Costco, their gasoline stations that basically have what do you call that? Subsidies for their gas because their gasoline is so pricey over there. They just shut down business. I think the green people, the green New Deal type people, I think they shut down those gas stations. They shut them down through lawsuits. There's so much money, you know. That's there. You can't say there's not foreign manipulation involved in that, right? Think about all the people in California that like were they paying like $7 a gas? Let me see. San Francisco. I just picked San Francisco. You go to Los Angeles. Price of gas at the pump. San Francisco. Oh, current funds can be found in the stations. What, they don't even want to post it on online. Costco gas prices in San Francisco, California, average price $4.20. I think that's supplemented though. Let me see. Price of gas in Los Angeles. Not a lot of angels there. Oh yeah, there's a lot of bad angels, right? Rebellious angels there in Los Angeles. Man, they don't even put this out there on the internet now. Best gas price local gas station, Los Angeles. Wait a minute. What year was this? $3.29. Does that sound right to y'all? I don't know. I don't know where they're not even showing the date of when these articles are. So who knows? It might be the 1930s or something. As far as California goes, I can't believe you can get, even though that's higher than it is where I'm at, $3.29 for regular gas. Oh well. Well, I just heard a lot of gasoline stations are shutting down. How much of that gasoline price includes taxes for state taxes in California? I'm curious. Okay. With that said, I think I pretty much put everything out that I wanted to put out today, maybe and some. Kind of like got off on a few different roads that I wanted to tonight. But anyways, I think I successfully accomplished the reason for tonight's live stream, even though they throttled me back. So I guess you can say I didn't accomplish the mission because the most I ever had at one time was 4 people watching over on YouTube, and that's definitely somebody's mess. Don't want the message that I have put out there, anyways, for whatever reason. So, well, this is going to end the live stream. Remember, just be on the right team. You want to know what team we should be on as far as team spirit is concerned? John chapter 17. Go check that out. John chapter 17. And remember, in God we trust. Everyone else, trust but verify. Okay, with that said, good morning, good day, good evening, wherever you're from. This ends the live stream. God bless. Bye.